I quite enjoyed making a cast of my own head, and this is how I did it. We started by protecting my hair with a plastic bag, before applying grease all over my face, aggressively, like the instructions said. These precautions didn't completely alleviate my concerns that I wouldn't be able to get my head out of the mould. This rubbery material that was being applied to my head and face was very sticky. At this point, there was no turning back. I just hoped we'd used enough grease. I could breathe through the holes that were left for my nostrils, and cotton wool was stopping the rubbery material from filling up my ear canals forever. Once the rubber had had time to dry, a layer of plaster was placed on top. This hard plaster would provide support for the soft, floppy rubber. I thought this would all be horrible, but actually I found it quite relaxing. I was entombed for about 45 minutes. I was worried how my dog would react, seeing me like this, but she didn't seem to notice. The hard plaster shell came off easily, and the rubber was cut up the back of my head so I could start to peel it off. It was very stuck to the hairs on my neck where we probably hadn't put enough grease, but it did peel off the rest of my face fairly easily, only taking a few eyebrow hairs with it. I was glad to be out, and eager to make a cast of my own head. I wanted to get it right first time, so I prepared the mould as best I could, bearing in mind that I wasn't completely sure what I was doing. I closed the hard shell around the soft rubber and taped it all in place. I coated the inside surface with a special powder. This would leave a nice finish on my head that I was ready to make. I only needed to pour a little bit of expanding foam into the mould, because it puffed up to become 18 times its original size. I broke apart the mould to reveal the result. I was pleased with it. The detail was astounding. The plastic bag that I'd had on my head to protect my hair had given me a sort of weird hairdo that I was happy with. But there were some missing parts around my lip and my chin which I repaired with putty. Some of the rubber from the mould had got stuck inside the ears, and the cotton wool that I'd used to protect my own ears had left some weird lumps which I removed with a knife. Sure enough, some of my eyebrow hairs had been pulled from my face, and I carefully removed them so I could put them back. The whole point of me making a cast of my head was so that I had an interesting way to display the sunglasses that I make, and that plastic bag hairdo that I liked had added some unwanted thickness, which meant that the sunglasses didn't fit, but I found that I could heat the head and then hit it with a hammer, compressing the foam and making it thinner. I scraped a bit of texture into those putty areas, and then I managed to get the grand decapitation all wrong. I had to have a few attempts at it to get it straight. I wanted to paint the head so that it looked like a kind of weathered bronze statue, but my first attempt looked like me if I was dead. I tried again with a little more metallic paint this time, and it really brought me back to life. It takes me ages to handcraft my denim sunglasses, so it seemed fitting that it took me ages to make a cast of my own head to model them. It was the moment of truth, and it was only now I realised that one of my ears had formed considerably lower than the other. It was hard to get the glasses to sit straight. I've spent years developing the sunglasses, making little improvements, quite often, so it seems fitting that I might need to make a surgical alteration to the head by cutting one of the ears off and sticking it on again a little bit higher.